Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to the 4th episode of Horrifically Charming, where we embrace the dark, live the horror, and dissect it all. I'm your host, Joe Thomas, and on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about my top 13 horror movie directors. All right, starting off, just a quick, what I feel like are some important things that, especially with horror, that a director needs to be able to do. So for one, they need to be a storyteller. They have to be able to tell a good story. And I know people say that about any director, but definitely for me with horror directors, they need to be able to tell a story. Second thing, they must be good at building suspense. They have to be able to keep us right there on the edge of our seat. And then thirdly, for me, I think probably the most important thing is they need to know where the audience is emotionally in every scene. Like they have to know where we're at and what we're processing in a scene to know what can be added or taken away to where it's not so overwhelming that we're like, I have no idea what just happened and I can't follow this, to getting us to where we're so invested in it that we can't take our eyes off the screen. So that's something for me very important for directors. So again, we're going to go through the top 13 for me, and starting out for number 13 is going to be Greg McLean. So interesting enough, a couple things I want to go over with each director is their birthday, because I just think that's interesting. Some facts about them, their movies, not all of them, because some of these directors would have a ridiculously long list of movies, but some of their more popular movies are well known, I would say. And then my favorite movie that they've made and what their next project is, if they are working on any current projects. So with Greg McLean, interestingly enough, I couldn't find a birth date for Mr. McLean. The only thing I'd find was the year, and that was 1971. So if somebody out there knows his birth date or is able to find it, put it in the comments or message me with it, because now I'm curious. Some facts about Greg. He is the author of the comic book series Dark Axis and the graphic novel Sebastian Hawke's Creature Hunter. Kind of interesting there. His favorite director is Francis Ford Coppola. That's actually common among a lot of directors, actually. And take a drink. I'm really thirsty. Oh, this is my Carrie tumbler. This is my design for my shirt line, that my tank top line that'll be coming out next year. This is made by my friend Dawn at Sunflower Kisses Creations with 2 S's on the end. She can customize anything for you guys, so go check her out. I love her. I have so many of her tumblers. It's unreal. Anyways, so movies for Greg McLean. First one was Wolf Creek in 2005. Then we have Rogue in 2007, Wolf Creek 2 in 2013, The Darkness in 2016. And then he kind of goes into working on TV series instead of directing movies. My favorite movie is The Darkness. If you haven't seen this, it's about a family that goes on vacation in the Grand Canyon. One of the sons gets some rocks and brings them back and starts kind of behaving oddly. And say with me, chaos ensues. So that is my favorite. Up next for him, it has it listed as The First Exorcist, which is currently in pre-production. So that's what he has happening next. Hopefully we don't go through these too fast. Number 12, and I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with him being so far down the list, but number 12 for me is going to be Alfred Hitchcock. So Hitchcock was born August 13th, 1899. 1899, you guys. And he passed away April 29th of 1980. So facts about him: The Lodger, his 1928 film, was the first film that he made a cameo in. Hitchcock very commonly would make cameos in his movies, but The Lodger was the first movie that he did so. He did not allow questions about his personal life in interviews. If someone tried to ask a personal question, he would shut the interview down and walk away. Destiny from 1921 was his favorite movie. Movies that he has, I mean, we have so many movies for Hitchcock. The Pleasure Garden was his first directorial debut. 39 Steps, 1935. Rebecca in 1940. That was his first American film, and it was also the only film to win Best Picture of his. Rear Window, 1954. That is one of my favorites. Psycho, 1960. The Birds, 1963. And Family Plot, what's his last film. My favorite movie of his is definitely going to be Psycho from 1960. Although, excuse me, Rear Window is a close, like, they're very close for me. I really like both of those movies. But Psycho, because there were so many things that we saw in Psycho for the first time, like the actual stabbing and things like that shower scene, even though I watched it as I was older instead of younger when I would watch things like Freddy Krueger and stuff, it still really mesmerized me and just appalled me actually to watch it happening. Um, Obviously Alfred Hitchcock is no longer with us, so he does not have any future projects coming out. That is a huge loss for us because I do feel the other thing, a funny little note on him as well that I thought was cute was a lot of people thought Alfred Hitchcock was very serious and very much the contrary. His cast and crew would mark him as a prankster and a jokester. Like he was laughing all the time. He was playing pranks and joking around. So that serious persona that we would always see was not what he was like at all on set. So I thought that was pretty interesting, something I didn't know. Going into number 11, guys. So this is the only female on my list. Sylvia Soska. She was born April 29th, 1983. So one of the things I was rather disappointed with was in looking and researching horror movie directors, there was maybe one female listed and she'd only made one movie. And honestly, it was a movie I'd never even heard of. So I definitely, it is one of those things that makes me sad because I kind of feel like I missed my calling there. I feel like we need to find more females who really want to get in there and engage the horror movie community as directors, and not just writers and actresses or actors. We need to have more female directors prominently in the horror industry. But Sylvia, so facts about her. Sylvia is a twin to her sister Jen. She is extensively trained in martial arts. She was in honor roll her entire career in high school. Her entire high school year, or her entire school years, not just high school, but all through school. She was an honor roll student, and she collects tarantulas. Most people are not going to know a lot of her movies. However, one of my favorite movies is directed by her, and that was American Mary from 2012. Then she did the ABCs of Death Part 2 in 2014, which is very much considered torture porn. Watch it, you'll know why. No Evil 2 in 2014, Rabbit in 2019, and then The Festival of the Living Dead in this year, 2014. So my favorite movie from this is American Mary. One of my tank top designs is of American Mary. I'll show it here on the screen for you guys. So I put her on the list because that movie was one that I had never watched. And I was asking about watching horror movies, and somebody said, "Oh, you got to check out American Mary." And I loved this movie so much. I've probably watched it, and I only watched it, you guys, probably 3 months ago. And I've probably watched that movie 15 times. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I loved the way it's shot. I just loved everything about it. So American Mary for me, they do not show anything currently in production for her or in development or anything. So I don't know if she's working on anything currently, but hopefully she is, because I would love to see more from her. Moving on to number 10 is Eli Roth. Eli Roth, obviously well known. April 18th, 1972, very close to my own age. He's actually just slightly older than I am. Facts about him. He writes all of his scripts longhand. Doesn't type them, doesn't use a computer. And here's a theme you will see with quite a few of these directors. He actually cannot stand the sight of real blood. Hates it, cannot stand it. His favorite movie is the Cannibal Holocaust from 1980. He is also a shark activist. I don't know where Stark came from. He is a shark activist and dives with them frequently, and does Shark Week, things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. And one of the very coolest things I thought I found out about him is he has never lost money on a film, you guys. And that's kind of surprising. So when we go into his movies, and again, where I'm not doing all of these directors' movies, I'm just doing some of the more well-known ones. But Cabin Fever from 2002, he recouped 15 times the budget on that movie. For Hostel in 2005, he recouped 20 times the budget for that movie. So those two alone, you would think would have lost money. Nope. He's never lost money on one. Hostel 2 came out in 2007. Green Inferno came out in 2013. Knock Knock came out in 2015. And then Thanksgiving came out in 2023. So for me with these, Knock Knock and Thanksgiving are pretty much tied for my favorites. Knock Knock because I love Keanu Reeves and I will watch anything the man is in. I don't care if he's standing in pudding. I will watch it and I will pay to watch it. Okay. But Thanksgiving was actually, it was just a fun movie. Like I really enjoyed that horror movie. I just, the oven scene. Yes. I loved it. It's great. Up next for him, it looks like Thanksgiving 2 is currently in development. So that's going to be his next project that he has listed. So I'm looking forward to see how they work on that. Number 9, Sam Raimi. So Sam Raimi was born October 23rd, 1959. Facts about him. He attended high school and was roommates and is currently best friends with Bruce Campbell. So went to high school with him, then they were roommates, and they are currently still very good friends. Favorite movie is The Treasure of Sierra Madre from 1948. I have not seen this one. However, I have put it on my watch list because anytime I hear of a movie that I haven't watched, I like to watch it. It doesn't have to be horror, but hopefully this is horror. I don't know. He was actually considered to direct Batman in 1989, but was deemed too inexperienced, so he was passed over for that. That was kind of shocking for me. Movies for him. The Evil Dead, 1981. Evil Dead 2, 1987. Army of Darkness, 1992. Drag Me to Hell, 2009. So my favorite of all of those is obviously Evil Dead 1. I'm a big fan of that. I love this whole franchise here. I really did enjoy Drag Me to Hell, though. That was actually a good movie. Up next for him, it looks like it is the King Killer Chronicles, and that is currently in pre-production. I'm not familiar with that, so if anybody knows anything about that, leave a comment here and let me know what that is. If not, I'll try and do some research and find out on my own. We're going to go to number 8. Oh, I love number 8. This when we get into this high, like 8 and up, 6 and up, were really hard for me to get in the right order for me because I love all these directors so much. Clive Barker is going to come in at number 8. October 5th, 1952 is his birthday. So some facts about him. He's a fine artist. He actually has drawings and paintings that are displayed in art galleries. He has a fear of blood and admits he will be the first one to faint at the sight of real blood. Again, there's this theme on this with directors. He loves comics and wrote his own series. And he insisted on directing his own work when he saw what is it? He saw Rawhead Rex and said he felt that he did the screenplay for that. And he saw it and he felt like it was too distant. Like he didn't like the way it was directed. So he, from that point on, insisted that he direct all of his own works. His biggest work, obviously, is probably going to be Hellraiser. Hellraiser 1987. You've got Nightbreed from 1990, and then The Lords of Illusion from 1995. Here's a little tidbit I found out. So he originally signed away all rights to the character and the story of Hellraiser before it even came out in the theaters. However, due to a copyright law, he was able to regain those rights in America. So I thought that was pretty cool. My favorite movie of his, obviously Hellraiser. I love Hellraiser. It's just one of those movies that, again, I can watch over and over and over again. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of excited to see the remake of it. But again, if you watched my previous episodes, they took so much of what made it Hellraiser, the sexuality in it and things, that it just did nothing for me and I did not enjoy it. Even though he was part of that, which I did not know, and I was very sad to find out, you guys. Moving on to number 7, Mike Flanagan. I love Mike Flanagan. May 20th, 1978 is his birthday. And let's see, Jaws is one of his favorite movies. He didn't watch horror films until he was older because he was too scared of them. And he is a Stephen King super fan. And in fact, the book Gerald's Game, if you've ever read it, they had wanted to make a movie out of it, but it was such a difficult book to adapt into film that they just never got the project done. However, Mike Flanagan came in and King trusted him with it, and he took it and he ran with it, and it's amazing. So for his movies, you've got Absentia from 2011, Oculus from 2013, Hush from 2016, Gerald's Game 2017, Dr. Sleep 2019. And then he moved into series work where he's doing more television series. So my favorite movie of his, easily hands down, is Dr. Sleep. Again, I'm going to put some artwork up here. This is Rose the Hat. This is going to be one of the tank top designs that we'll be coming out with next year. So look for that. I love Rose the Hat. I am obsessed with her as a character. I think she is probably one of the most iconic female horror villains of all time. I'm going to do a whole episode just on her because she's crazy and I love her. Hey, let's see. Up next for him. Oh, it says untitled, but it's The Exorcist Untitled, and it's currently in pre-production. So we'll see what happens with that. Number 6 is James Wan. And again, it's got so hard for me, you guys, on trying to figure out where I wanted to put these directors in these top slots because I just love all of them. I think they do incredible work. James Wan, probably should have gone higher. February 26, 1977. So facts about him. He created the Saw and the Conjuring universes. He was the first Asian and Australian director to have a film make $1 billion at the box office. I think that's pretty amazing. And he founded the production company Atomic Monster in 2014. So some of these directors, it was very hard to find any kind of like fun, cool facts on. So if you guys know any fun, cool facts about any of the directors that I'm not listing, please leave a comment or message me with them because I would definitely love to hear more. His movies: Saw from 2004, Dead Silence 2007, Insidious in 2010, Insidious 2 in 2013, The Conjuring in 2013, The Conjuring 2 in 2016, and Malignant in 2021. So I love this whole universe that he created. My favorite is actually Insidious. I do love The Conjuring, and I love the first Saw. The rest of them got a little weird for me. But I love and respect the first Saw very much. However, Insidious scared the crap out of me. I jumped quite a few times, so that's going to be my favorite from him. Up next for him is they are doing a remake. It's technically not titled, but it is The Creature from the Black Lagoon remake. So that is in, I believe it's development or pre-production. I'm not sure for him on that. So I am actually excited about that because I do like The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So I'm anxious to see what he's planning on doing with that. Number 5. I might have a little crush on this guy. Just saying. Is Rob Zombie. I love him so much. So Rob Zombie, born January 12th, 1965. Real name is Robert Cummings. He is vegan and an animal rights activist. He does not drink or do drugs. He writes comic books. In fact, I have quite a few of them. And he actually prefers vintage horror to new horror, which if you watch anything that he does, shouldn't surprise you at all. Movies of his: House of a Thousand Corpses in 2003, The Devil's Rejects 2005, Halloween 2007, Halloween 2 in 2009, 31 in 2016, 3 from Hell 2019, The Munsters in 2022. My favorite of all of those is The Devil's Rejects. I love that movie. I can watch it over and over again. I love all of his movies, but The Devil's Reject is definitely my favorite. I could not find anything that he is currently working on. I mean, I'm sure he's still working on music and stuff, so maybe that's why it didn't come up. But if you know a project he's working on, let me know, you guys. Number 4. This guy frustrated the hell out of me doing research on him. It's Mr. Ty West. Okay. I love Ty West. October 5th, 1980. I love Mia Goth back here. See my Mia? There she is. I love Mia Goth, and I love the movies that he does with her. So again, I couldn't find anything on him. It was really hard. Was able to find that he wanted his name removed, actually, from Cabin Fever 2, because after it was done, he felt like it was a movie that was more the production people's movie than it was his, and he was not happy with it. So he asked to have his name removed and a pseudonym put in, pseudonym put in, but they would not do that. So he was very disappointed by that. His favorite movie, according to an interview he did with Far Out Magazine, is American Movie from 1999. Never heard of it, so I'm going to watch it. His movies. Again, I was so frustrated. Like, I was like, give me something funny and fun about this guy. And I could not find anything. Movies. The Roost from 2005, House of the Devil in 2009, The Innkeepers from 2011. If you haven't seen that, you need to watch it. VHS from 2012. And then he did TV series from 2016 to 2020. And then he came out with my beloved X series. So you've got X, which was one of the most... It was one of those movies that I covered my eyes out of sheer disgust. And not blood disgust, you guys. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you've watched it, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. It messed me up, but I love it dearly. And then you've got Pearl, and then you've got Maxine. So those are the three with Miss Mia back there. And my favorite of those is X. I love it. Innkeepers is right there, though, you guys. If you haven't seen Innkeepers, I highly recommend watching it. It's an older film of his, again, from 2011, but it's such a great movie. But I really fell in love with X because of the feral reactions it got for me in watching this movie. So X is going to be my favorite, but Innkeepers is right there. Couldn't find anything that he's currently working on. So hopefully there's more coming up with Mia. I really, really, really hope so. But we will have to wait and see. Number 3, Mr. Damien Leone. Who he is shooting to fame, you guys. It's just crazy. January 29th, 1982. So Damien is named after the character Damien in The Omen. He cannot stand the sight of blood and will faint in real life. So you got 3 of our biggest directors here. And one, it's funny because Damien is, of course, like gore splatter. Like, he is hardcore. But he cannot actually stand the sight of real blood. He does all his own special effects works, you guys, so he doesn't have to work with the big production companies, and it gives him more creative control, which I thought was really cool to learn that about him. His movies, The Ninth Circle in 2008, All Hallows Eve, which introduced us to Art the Clown in 2011, Frankenstein versus the Mummy in 2015, Terrifier 1, 2016, Terrifier 2, 2022, and Terrifier 3, 2024. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. My favorite is Terrifier 1. I know 2 and 3 are great, but 1 was where I just fell in love with how David, who plays Art the Clown, the way he can emote without saying a word. I just fell in love with that character. So Terrifier 1's always going to be my favorite. Currently, they are actually in pre-production for Terrifier 4. I am terrified, pun intended, to find out what in the hell they are going to do in Terrifier 4 to top Terrifier 3. It kind of makes me worry a lot, you guys. I'm not going to lie. All right. Number 2, Wes Craven. So I don't think my top 2 will surprise anyone that's a horror fan, but Wes Craven, he born August 2nd, 1939, died August 30th of 2015. He spent his early career, I did not know this, you guys. I don't know why I'm whispering. He spent his early career making pornos under the name Abe Snake. Yeah, directing. Okay, not in them. But I was like, oi, I'm sorry, what? I think that's amazing. I love it. His horror films are known to contain a lot of important social issues. And what was the other thing here? Oh, while he was alive, he had an ongoing joke feud with Sam Raimi, which I thought was really cool. And was an avid bird watcher. So some cool facts about Mr. Craven, who deeply missed. Movies, Last House on the Left was his first movie from 1972. Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. He did not direct any of the sequels for Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't know that. I thought he had at least one, but he did not. And then Scream 1, 2, and 3. Best thing from him for me is Nightmare on Elm Street 1. I watched that when it came out. So I was 10 years old when that movie came out, and I was obsessed with Freddy Krueger. I did not have a normal childhood, and I will tell you that Freddy and I often in my dreams went on field trips together, and it was Freddy never scared me as much as fascinated me, which I realize is very disturbing now, but I'm just saying I loved the Freddy Krueger movies. I loved all of them, but one will never be topped. When he spreads his arms in that alley, that silhouette that's created when he spreads his arms out, you guys, insane, like crazy. I love that. Number 1, John Carpenter. I mean, can anybody dispute 1 and 2? Come for me. John Carpenter, born January 16th, 1948. So facts about him. Michael Myers was actually based off of a 13-year-old boy he saw in a mental institution while on a field trip. Like, where the hell were they taking kids on field trips when he was a kid? A mental institution? What the actual fuck, you guys? But whatever. We got one of the most iconic characters of all times out of it. He is a big fan of video games and plays games like Halo. His son got him into it. It's crazy. Like, would not go for that myself. Think that would be something of him. He and his wife actually co-own Stormy King Comics. I was pretty good at knowing a lot of the horror people related to comic books, and I had no idea about that. So that was really cool to learn. And here's something that might shock you. He actually turned down the opportunity to direct Top Gun, Fatal Attraction, and Zombieland. He turned down all of those, you guys. Just crazy for me. But we've got so much out of him. So his movies, again, I'm not listing all of them, guys. These are just some of the more common, well-known ones, not common. Revenge of the Colossal Beast was his first in 1962. Dark Star in 1974. Assault on Precinct 13, the original, not the remake, and from 1976. Halloween from 1978. The Fog from 1980, and Escape from New York 1981, and The Thing 1982. So for me, my favorite will always be Halloween. Michael Myers was the first character, and I watched a lot of horror when I was young. There's a story behind that I'm not going to get into, but I watched a lot of horror. I mean, starting at the age of 6 and 7, you guys. Michael Myers was the first character that terrified me. And to this day, if I'm at a Halloween party and there's a guy that's the right size, he has to be the right size of Michael, and he's dressed, the mask fits well and the jumpsuit dressed well, and he legit looks the part. I can't do it. I know, but it just, my pulse races just thinking about it. Michael scares the crap out of me. More so than any other horror character there is. So Halloween is always going to be my favorite. And again, John Carpenter, now I know he's up there in years, but I didn't see anything that he is currently working on. So he may just be retired and loving life right now, you guys. There was somebody though, and I believe it was Clive Barker. I know that with him, I believe I said that there's nothing that he's currently working on. However, Clive is a very, very accomplished author and writer, you guys. So I know right now, from what I've seen, he is working on his writing and novels and things like that. So that's probably what he's working on. So there is my 1 through 13, guys. And I know some people won't agree with them. I would love to hear if you have somebody that I left out of there that you think should have been put in there. Please let me know. But for now, we're going to say thank you to all you guys for your support. That's the only way that this is possible, is having you guys come in, take a listen, give a like, leave a comment. The social medias are all up and working. We've got Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. all going. We also have the podcast now on, honestly, too many platforms, you guys. We've got it on Spotify and YouTube if you want to watch the video version. The audio versions are available on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Next week, we're going to be doing a deep dive. I'm going to start my deep dive into the decades of horror. So next week, we're going to be going through 1930s through the 1940s. We're going to get in there and discover all the goodness of those 2 decades for horror. Until then, you guys, this is Joe Thomas. Thanks again for tuning in, you guys. May every day be filled with horror and sprinkled with charm. Thanks again, guys. See you next week.